Hello there. You're listening to Two Girls, One Mic, and I am Simar Kaur.
And I am Moshi Singh.
Welcome back to another episode of our new series, Away with the Chalkboard Blues. In this series, we will be interviewing teachers about their life and core values in this profession.
In today's episode, we'll be sharing the mic with none other than Miss Brinda Ghosh. Having the privilege to have learned from her, I can vouch that Miss Ghosh is an excellent principal and a teacher as well. Her command over English and domain expertise are what makes her a great teacher.
Before we begin with the podcast, Mom, would you like to share a few words about how your life has been in this teaching career?
Thank you, Oshi and Simar, for talking to me today and for having me on your show. I think I've really had a fantastic innings as a teacher, and I've enjoyed every moment or rather every day of this very long teaching career that I've had. It's going to be it's more than 4 decades. It's 46 years since I've been teaching. So, but then it's been a wonderful life as a teacher.
That's really great to know, ma'am. I joined Gyanshri about 5 years back when you were still the principal. I joined in the midterm of grade 4 and I used to think that it would be really hard for me to catch up. But I recall everyone from the students to the teacher being extremely helpful. So I wanted to ask, how do you as an educator assure a positive school culture or climate?
Oshi, I believe that learning can only happen if the learning atmosphere is positive and happy. So this has always been my effort to see that children are happy coming to school, that they're happy doing what they're doing in the classroom and outside of the classroom. And this is something that I have shared with all my teacher colleagues. And in school, we have always planned our lessons, we've planned our activities, we've always thought about what would be appropriate for children and what would come to the children not as a burden but as a joy. And as you know, we do have our slogan as far as Gyanshri goes. We say that we are here for the joy of learning, right? So we do want to instill that joy in everything that we do in school. And I honestly believe that if children are happy doing what they're doing, then they will learn and they will learn for life.
That was a fantastic answer, ma'am. Life is very uncanny, and as we all know, one of the skills that we require to have is thinking on our feet. Could you describe a time when a situation needed to be handled with sensitivity and tact? And what was the issue? How were you able to handle it? And what was the outcome? Something on the lines of that.
Okay, so Simar, there are many instances in a teacher's life that requires a teacher to be sensitive, and that requires a teacher to actually think on her feet. Okay, so there have been quite a few instances in my career, in my teaching career, where I've had to actually take a decision on the spot, where I've had to handle a situation so that it doesn't go out of hand for any of the stakeholders. So there are a lot of things that come to mind, but particularly when there have been cases when I particularly remember a case when we had a child who came to know while she was in school. This was in a residential school, and she just got the message that she had lost her mother. And this was one of the most sensitive cases that I think I had to handle. And this girl was, I think, in class 7 at that time. And for us to be sensitive, to reach out to her and to be her mother in absentia at that time was very, very important. So it took me a lot of courage. It needed courage, it needed sensitivity to handle that issue. And I think I also saw another thing that really touched me, because all her friends who were in her class, her seniors, they all came to make her feel a little comfortable. It's definitely not an easy situation. So that's one instance. But we have had other small instances or big instances, where children have been very nervous before an examination. I've seen children getting blackouts before an examination, or I've seen children coming out of the examination hall because they don't know how they would go on with their paper, because they don't know what to write, since they've probably had a blackout, since they've kept awake in the night. So these are situations which require a lot of thinking on our part. We have to handle the situation. Sometimes the children may be in a different center and they may be in some kind of a trouble. So we got to think and tell them, how should we handle this? So from all this, two instances where one of the instances I had was where there was this girl who was so nervous that she just decided that she doesn't want to ever get into that examination hall. So and it was her 12th standard board examination. So she was on the verge of a breakdown, and I had to sit with her and talk to her immediately and use all that I could to coax her to be able to go in and sit in the examination center and do her paper. So yes, there have been many, many instances like that, and some where we have dealt with the situation very, very effectively, very sensitively. And there's always something that we learn from these situations also. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am, that does. So, life is meaningless without compassion, love, empathy, and sympathy. It seems to be even more meaningless if one is not happy. It is in human nature to discover more and more ways to be happier and more content with life. Many people find contentment and satisfaction by making others happy, and it works like a charm.
Yes.
Indeed.
You're very right.
Yes, ma'am. The quest for happiness is not proportional to the quest for money or fame or success. It's the quest present in our heart. If we follow our hearts, we will be happy with ourselves at the end of the day, and that is the truth. Every time we make someone happy, an indescribable feeling enters our body, and it makes our day even better, and at night you can go to sleep feeling a little better about yourself and your day and your life as well.
That is so true, Simar. The beauty of life does not depend on how happy you are, but how happy others can be because of you. Teaching is a profession in which we help so many young and developing minds that we truly experience the joy of learning. So, ma'am, in what ways do you empower teachers to be leaders and role models for students?
A lot of the teachers, they look up to seniors like me because they want to know maybe they're probably looking for some tricks of the trade, so to say. How do we tackle a situation? How do we tackle there could be little children throwing a tantrum. There could be little children who come crying to school because they don't want to be in school for some reason or the other. So there are teachers who want to know, how do we deal with a situation like this? And it's not very difficult, because if you pass on this vibe, I would say, of being happy, and if you connect with the children whom you are teaching, then the children relate to you and the happiness passes on also. And that feeling of comfort, that feeling of joy does pass on to them. So there's no formula of creating a happy situation. There's nothing that one teacher can teach another and say, do this, and the child will be happy or your class will be happy. Okay, but yes, happiness is brought about by a sense of satisfaction, in doing what you're doing rightly. So the mantra is that if teachers know what they're doing, and if they're able to even teach what they're teaching in a joyful manner, the children are connected, they're happy, and that's what creates this ambience of happiness and aura of happiness in the classroom. So that's what teachers do. They come to teach because they want to teach. That's the first thing that they should be doing. That those who don't want to teach will never make happy teachers. Those who come into the profession per force will not make happy teachers. So those teachers who come to teach because they want to teach, they want to reach out to the children, they want to make themselves understood, and when they do that, when they want all that, they make that extra effort to see that what they're saying is actually understood, that they are understood, and that they can relate to the children. So there is this feeling of empathy, but there is also a feeling that you are here for a certain purpose, and I will conduct myself in such a way that while I help you to deliver that purpose, I will also reach out to you when you need me, and when you need comfort, I shall be there. So this accessibility and approachability of a teacher brings a lot of comfort to the students in the class, and I think that's the message we all pass on to each other, that be available for them. It's not only about being extraordinarily good at content. You may be very knowledgeable, but if you're not able to deliver that effectively, and if you're not able to reach out to the last child in the class, then you don't make everybody happy.
Indeed, ma'am. As the saying goes, a good teacher has the ability to inspire children, to ignite imagination in students, and to instill a love for learning. So I think that's very true from what you said right now. So in 11th grade, I had the privilege of being taught English by you, ma'am. The way you taught us poems and the way you encapsulate my peers and I in the poems is truly a very enriching experience, and I love making notes while you speak. Like, my textbook is literally filled with notes, and I really admire the passion you bring in what you teach us. So here's my question for you. Does delving into the art of literature give you pleasure, and how does it do that? What does it mean for you?
I think the biggest pleasure I get is from reading, and I just get immersed into the into the subject, into what I'm reading, and I live the book literally. So I think as a child and as I grew up, I found that my best companion was a book. So I could actually experience the world of all the characters in all the books that I read. So if I was reading Alice in Wonderland, I could easily be Alice. Or if I was reading, let's say, an adventure story, then I would probably be part of all those adventures in my mind. And so it gave me an opportunity to actually travel with all the characters about whom I read, travel to all the places in the books that I read. And even today, I think if I have a book to read, I don't think I need anything really more than that. So yes, I do have a passion for reading, for any good literature. And fortunately, I've been fortunate enough to learn more than one language, to be able to read. Okay, so it's not just that I limit myself to English. Of course, English is definitely a passion because I'm most comfortable with English. But I have read in Hindi, I've read Tamil, I've read Bangla. In fact, I started learning Bangla. Can you hear me? So I started learning Bangla so that I can read the children's literature in Bengali, because it has a very rich children's literature content. So yes, reading is something that gives me extreme pleasure. And of course, you all are very familiar by now about my passion for poetry in particular. And I enjoy that the most.
That
Oh,
was
she, I believe.
that was very
Yeah.
wonderful to know, ma'am. I love reading as well. If anyone
Good
ever
to know that.
enters my room and they open any cupboard, the most of my cupboards are just filled with books and books. So
Good.
reading, for me, it helps me attain perspective in life. Reading is what makes me happy, and it also inspires me to write. For the past few years, I've been writing articles, and it truly gives me joy. And right now, I've moved to writing poems, and these days, I've been writing articles and poems for the My Good School blog. And sometimes I even think about pursuing it as a profession in life. So, what advice would you give to students who really yearn to be good poets or writers? Basically, youngsters who are eager to participate in such beautiful art.
My advice would be keep reading and keep writing. There's nothing called a writer's block, though many people talk about it. Okay, but there really isn't anything called a writer's block. If you enjoy reading, never stop reading. And if you enjoy writing, keep writing, keep doing, whatever you want to write. That's the best way to keep yourself going. So keep writing and keep reading, and read whatever you think you like to read. Some people are very choosy about what they want to read, but I think there's such a lot to read, and I don't think one lifetime is ever going to be enough to read everything that you want to read. Yeah.
That was amazing advice, ma'am. I think it will surely inspire our listeners to pursue writing and reading as a hobby as well as a passion. Writing does help us in a lot of ways, such as with practice, we are able to communicate a lot more clearly and put forward or convey our ideas in a very efficient manner. But most of all, writing as an art eases our minds and our hearts. It helps us resolve conflicts that reside within us and acts as a medium of self-exploration. Now, ma'am, we know that the job of a principal is a tedious one, as the choices made require the consent of many, such as the students, the parents, the staff as well. But who is it that brings a smile to your face?
Children. Children bring a smile to my face. Small, big, all children bring a smile to my face.
That is so sweet.
I think it is because of the children that we are in this profession, and that's what really makes us happy. So that's why I said that to see a child smile is probably the biggest joy.
That was very sweet, ma'am. I would like to mention a famous personality who brought happiness to a lot of people in his time. And he did this without even using words. His expressions, the way he molded pain into humor, and of course, his creativity, to this day remain iconic. His story and performance still make people laugh with joy. Yes, he is none other than the famous Charlie Chaplin. Maybe this example is a little bit cliche, but no one can deny the fact that he's iconic.
True.
Definitely, Yoshi. And another person that I would like to mention, who is maybe not as well known as Charlie Chaplin around the world, and who still continues to bring a smile to a lot of people's faces, is Jaspal Bhatti. Yes, the Indian comedian whose name today's generation may not even recognize, but I recognize him very well because my dad and I used to watch his episodes every weekend. And through his humorous and satirical portrayal of real life situations, He never failed to bring joy to all of his viewers, and he converted such misery in real life to such wonderful humor and made everyone laugh. His comedic timing was also impeccable, and I think with that we come to an end of our wonderful and hearty discussion with one of our favorite teachers and guides and mentors, Mrs. Brinda Ghosh.
Ma'am, we sincerely hope you enjoyed your evening with us. We loved
did.
having you, and we definitely want to get back to you for part 2 of this conversation.
Wonderful. Thank you, Simar, and thank you, Oshi, for talking to me and for listening to me. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. And with this, we reach the end of today's podcast. We sincerely hope you enjoyed it and would like to thank everyone who has helped us achieve the success of today's podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode, same date, same time next month.
We are here at my good school. Things here are so cool. Together we learn, together we create, together we meditate. Everyone is welcome. Teachers here are awesome. We learn good values, we learn many skills. We soar above the hills. Let's shout it out, hey, let's all be proud, hey, hats off to my good school. Just what we need, hey, for us to succeed, hey, are all here in my good school.